it's Jennifer from Fiber Flux. In this video, we're going to learn how to crochet the quick gift mug cozy. This is seriously one of the fastest gifts ever that you can make. You can really whip up a bunch of these in an evening. Just pop in a movie and get some yarn. It's a great project for scraps. All those leftover yarns. If you're making any of the other projects in this series, you may have some yarn left over, so you can make a bunch of these. This is part of our 12 weeks of gifting series on Fiber Flux. Each week from now till the end of December, we're going to have a quick gift. We are using the same yarn and the same size hook for all the projects. We've already done a bunch of them. The directory for the projects can be found in the link below, so you can go and look at everything we've done so far and look at the schedule of everything that's coming also. So this is just a little cozy sleeve you can put around a mug. There's a lot of really cute mugs out right now for the holidays. I'm using just a real simple mug, and what it is the buttons around your mug here, and it keeps it warm when you have a hot beverage, and it looks super cute too. Now, when you're using this for gift giving, you can fill it up with some mints, some chocolates, some gourmet coffee or tea bags, and it makes a wonderful last minute gift. So make a few of these to have on hand too, because I know for me, there's always that quick gift that forgot this person, or need to grab something for someone really quick, and it's nice to have some on hand. So let me just take this apart to show you. It has a loop and a button. So if you have some of those, we always have those stray single buttons that you can use, or if you have a really special button you've been saving, this is a great project for that. But all it essentially is a rectangle, and we're going to be using some easy half double crochet stitches. I'm going to show you how to work the rows. We're going to add a single crochet edging, and I'm going to show you how to make this button loop, and then I'm going to show you how to add the button. And it just simply wraps around the mug and buttons up like a little sweater, okay? So the finished piece is about 10 inches long, not including the loop. The loop adds another inch to our project, and then the width of it is about 3 inches wide, and then the button that I used is a little over an inch long. And you can really use any button. Just make sure the button's not too small, because for our loop you don't want it to kind of fall out. So let's get started. For this project, you'll need a pair of scissors, a tapestry needle, a ruler or tape measure to kind of measure as you go along. You'll need one button per mug cozy. Now I just grabbed a few singular buttons I had. You can really use any button you like. I have here some wood, this is coconut wood. These are some fabric buttons. As a side note, this is a button that I made. It's a fabric covered button, and you can coordinate it with your yarn. If you're interested in making your own buttons like this, I have a video for that, and I'll put the link below. And then this was actually a recycled button from an old garment that the button fell off, or maybe it came with an extra, I don't remember. But you can also use, when you buy a garment, there's a little button in a Ziploc bag, and they sort of just end up laying around. This is a good example of that you can use for your project as well. So just one single button, but I grabbed a few to show you. And then for our yarn, we're going to be using Red Heart Super Saver Chunky. Now, if you've been crocheting along with us for the 12 weeks of gifting cowl that this is part of, you'll notice that we are using Super Saver Chunky for all the projects. We're just switching up the colors, and we're using the 8mm L crochet hook for all the projects as well. Now, you're not going to use the whole skein of this. You'll be able to get tons of these mug cozies from one skein. But each skein of this is 173 yards. And if you need to substitute, look for, on the yarn label, look for the 5 bulky weight on the yarn weight scale and the L 8mm crochet hook recommendation, and you'll be just fine. Today, for our mug cozy, we're going to be using the tea leaf colorway. It's a really pretty green. So let's get started. Okay, so I have my yarn and my hook here, and I'm going to kind of keep the mug just off to the side here, so if we need to refer back to it, we can. So let's zoom in. We're going to first put a slip knot on our hook. Wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop. Bring the yarn behind the loop. Reach in with your hook, bring up a loop, and tighten. Next, what we're going to do is chain 6. To make a chain, wrap yarn around hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so here's our starting chain. And then all we need to do next is to work a half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So this loop here on the hook already does not count. So count 1, 2, and then we're going to work our half double crochet. To make a half double crochet, wrap yarn around hook, insert the hook into that chain, that second chain from the hook, wrap yarn around hook, bring up a loop. You'll have 3 loops on your hook. Wrap yarn around hook, bring through all 3 loops, and that's all you do, okay? So work a half double crochet in every chain across. This is such an easy stitch to do. It has a little bit more height than a single crochet, but it's a little shorter than a double crochet. Okay, and then in that very last chain. Okay, so here's what row 1 will look like. So all we need to do is just keep repeating those half double crochets. So let's move on to row 2. What we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, turn your work, and then in that first stitch we're going to work a half double crochet, half double crochet in the next stitch. And this is basically the same row, but we're not working in the chains this time, we're working in the stitches. Those are those loops at the top of each of those half doubles from the previous row, okay? So half double crochet in each stitch, and then into our turning chain. In the top chain of the turning chain, we're also going to work a half double crochet. Okay, so rows 1 and 2 are complete. Now what we're going to do is continue to work our strip. Eventually, let me get my hook out of the way. Eventually our strip rather, will go all the way around our mug. So you're going to keep repeating row 2 over and over and over until your strip goes all the way around your mug. Now you want it to come, you don't want it to go up under the handle. You want it to come, see how I'm holding it here? There's just a little bit of space in between the handle and the edge. You want it to kind of look like that on both sides. Give a little bit of an edge, maybe like if I were to hold it up like this, maybe the width of a hook or a finger in between your edge on either side. So we don't want it to interfere with this handle at all. So work row 2 over and over and over till you go around your mug. Now I'll give you the length when I'm done making the strip of mine, but that's for this mug. So sometimes we have like those big jumbo mugs. My mug has a little bit of a, it's a little narrower than like a standard mug. So what we're going to do is kind of make the strip to fit our own mug, but I will provide measurements as we move farther along. So what we want to do is just once again repeat row 2 over and over and over until your strip comes just to your handle, about a finger width on either side. Okay? So keep going and we'll rejoin in just a moment. Just working that very last half double crochet, and as you can see I have a nice long strip now. So before you cut the yarn and fasten off, just double check, grab your mug, and I can remove the hook here just so you can see better, but just wrap this strip around your mug. And remember we were talking about before to leave like a finger width on either side of the handle, give or take, you know, it doesn't have to be exact, but you want a little space there in between. Okay, so I'm happy with the length, and just as a side note, I have a height of my rectangle of 9.5 inches. Depending on your mug though, that height may vary for you. So go ahead and, actually we're not going to cut the yarn because we're going to work, we're going to keep this fastened and we're going to work a single crochet edge around our rectangle. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to work a single crochet stitch all around our rectangle, and then when we get to the end here we're going to work a loop for our button and then keep continuing around working our single crochet stitches and then fasten off at the other end once we've made a full round. Okay, so for the corners, you don't want to just work one stitch into the corners. We're going to work 3 double crochets into the corners, because if not, your piece will start to buckle up and curl inward. So what we want to do is chain 1 and then insert in that first little hole that you see, insert your hook, bring up a loop, wrap yarn around hook, bring it through both loops. Because this is a corner, we're going to work 3 single crochets in our corner. Okay, and then in each one of these holes along the edge here, you're just going to work a single crochet. Now I would recommend sticking with the same color like I'm doing here, because your Each one of these little side holes from your row, the rows that you worked, you're going to be working these single crochet stitches. Okay? Just work all down the side, and we're going to do this together. You can see how it's starting to create a nice straighter edge, okay? It gives it a more finished appearance when you put an edge on things. Okay, so let's just work our single crochets all the way across, and this will only take you a minute or two to work those. Just try to get all those little stitches in and make it nice and neat so that your cozy will look nice when it's wrapped around your mug. And I wanted to also, whoops, we'll go in that decorative. We've worked our single crochets across, and now we're at the next corner. So again, work your 3 single crochets into the corner. So things kind of rounds off that corner nicely. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to work to the middle of this strip here. So we have, you can count your stitches too. We have a corner and a corner. And then we just worked one, and there's one on the other side. So this is the middle stitch. So locate the middle stitch. You're going to work a single crochet into that middle stitch. Okay, and then you're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then go back into that same stitch, work a slip stitch. So insert the hook into that same stitch, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. And now we have a little loop for our button, okay? Then we're going to work a single crochet into the next stitch, and then we're at the corner again. We're going to work 3 single crochets. We can get this tail out of the way. 1, 2, and 3. And you can also hold that tail along the edges you work if you'd like to weave it in as you go along. If not, you can weave it in later. And then we're just going to continue down the other side, working our single crochet stitches, okay? So just go down the side, and I'm holding the tail along the edges I work. It's totally up to you though. So just work your single crochet stitches down the next side. So we've come all the way around, and then we're just going to join with a slip stitch to close the round. So insert the hook into that first stitch that you worked, bring up a loop, now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. So you can see we have a nice little framed in rectangle now, and you can grab your scissors and cut the yarn at this point, and then we're going to fasten off. Now I wove the other end in as I went along, but for this one we're going to have to weave it in. So grab your tapestry needle, and now that we have an edge, there's a definite front and back to our work. So flip it to this is the inside out part, or some people call the wrong side. Some people say the right side and the wrong side of your work, or front and back. So just take your tapestry needle and go in one direction with your ends, come back in the other direction. You can go through some of those plies if it helps to hold it in a little bit tighter. Grab your scissors and trim, okay? The last thing we need to do for our super easy mug cozy is to add the button. So I have my button right here, and we're going to grab our mug because what we want to do is figure out the button placement. So put your cozy around your mug, and you can kind of lay it down if that's easier. So the loop that we created, remember that button loop, is going to go through the handle like that, okay? So it's going to go through the handle, and then we want it to be pretty snug. So you can come over top a little bit and then just sort of figure out where you want your button to be. So I want mine to be about 2 rows down in the center, okay? So I'll put my mug over here, and then what we want to do is grab a piece of yarn, about, I would say like 12 inches or so. Don't need a ton of it. And you can see here, you can probably make many more mug cozies out of this skein. I have lots left, okay? Or any of the other leftovers from other 12 weeks of gifting projects. Okay, so thread your tapestry needle with a little tail, and then remember I said 2 rows down in the center is where I need my button placement to be. You might need to adjust as needed for your own cozy. And I really want the toggle to be facing this way versus this way. It's just a preference, the way I want it to sit on the piece when it's done. So I'm just going to hold it on there the way I want it, and then just run your tapestry needle through the back here. There's the little loop. Now you might have a classic button and you can sew yours on a little bit differently, but I'm going to pull it almost all the way through and then just tie it right on. Okay, and then we're going to go in 1 or 2 more times with our needle, just because whenever you're sewing a button, just make sure it's on there really good, because you want it to be secure. If it's something you'll be using regularly, you don't want that button to be falling off. Okay. All right, now we're going to just tie this on. I'm going to put a couple of strong knots on there, and then we can just weave this in. You can snip it. I mean, it will be on the inside, but for gift giving, I like to make sure the finish work is on point, because you are kind of showing off your skills here. So you want to, and it's a gift, so you want it to be extra special. Somebody will be using this every day. Okay, so just weave those ends in. And there'll be obviously 2 of them, so you want to do the same thing. Just go, remember, in one direction. Okay to go through the plies if you want to get a nice snug fit in there. And then bring it through. Okay, so that was our last tail. So then what we want to do is just sort of flip it out and just straighten everything up, get all those stitches nice and neat and even. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. And then if you put it back on your mug, it's like a little sweater for your mug. And I made sure to kind of scoot my button back so that my button loop, it'll be nice and snug and stay put. If you make it too loose, then your cozy will sort of slide off your mug, okay? So it looks very cute, and it adds a nice handmade touch to a mug. And a lot of the stores right now will have festive holiday mugs, so you could grab a cute little mug. You can fill it up with some tea, some coffee, some candies or chocolate, maybe some little mints, some holiday mints. So that is how you crochet the quick gift mug cozy. And I just wanted to mention 2 things before we leave. Use the hashtag FiberFluxCal to share your work on social media. And also, we have 2 groups to join for the crochet alongs, all of the Fiber Flux crochet alongs, the Ravelry group and the Facebook group, and I'll put those links down below. Hop on over there. It's a great place to show off your work. A lot of people share photos. You can ask questions. It's a really wonderful, positive space to come hang out as a maker. So that is how you crochet the quick gift mug cozy. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiber Flux video updates. Thanks again.